I have played a lot of games in my lifetime. I think I have in the past been mildly interested in most game franchises, especially a lot of the popular ones, but for some reason, the game series I feel I have neglected the most in my time as a gamer, I feel has been Monster Hunter. I think the Monster Hunter series has everything right going for it at the moment. It seems to be the biggest game in the world, and the core fanbase seems to be way bigger than I have ever imagined. Not to mention all the new fans that they have netted with their recent release. I won't lie and say I have always been disinterested in the game. I remember I had one of the Monster Hunter games that were on the 3DS called Monster Hunter Ultimate 3, and it was pretty fun, I think. I maybe got halfway through it before finally getting bored and moving on to something else, as I so often did at that age. I also have Monster Hunter Worlds for the PlayStation 4, and I played it a good amount. I believe I had gotten just past the fight with the giant lava dragon. I only have about 15 hours in the game though, so I'm not too sure if we ended up killing it or not. I was planning on returning to the game pretty soon with everyone raving about the new title. I want to finally finish the game. I started so many years ago, but the buddy I was planning on playing it with wanted to jump on the new title last minute, and I was honestly super on board. I had seen a ton of videos online of people doing crazy ore farming in this game, and I wanted a piece of it as soon as possible. From what I have played of Monster Hunter, one of the games I can relate it to the most is a Souls-like, a Japanese developed game where you play as a regular sized person using huge, powerful anime style weapons, murdering gigantic, larger than life creatures. In theory, this series should be absolutely up my alley, but for some weird reason, it has always just grazed me up until this point. I remember I even had a younger teacher in high school that would rave about how much he loved Monster Hunter, even though he had stopped really playing most other video games at that point in his life, and even had an app on his phone that was like some sort of Pokedex for learning about Monster Hunter monsters. While Monster Hunter might be similar in my eyes to the core Souls-like, just from what I have played of the game, I believe it does a lot of the systems better. For example, I wanted to mention the whole crafting system in the game. I don't think in all of my time playing Elden Ring or Dark Souls, I was ever compelled to craft anything at all besides the occasional bolus to cure a disease from one of the developer's famous toxic rivers or lakes, and in Monster Hunter it is completely different. You absolutely need to be picking up resources constantly and harvesting your prey in order to properly advance in the game. In Elden Ring and Dark Souls, this whole system always feels like an afterthought. In Monster Hunter, this system is deeply weaved into the core gameplay. You're not just hunting these monsters to kill them and purge them from the lands like in Dark Souls, you're also hunting them to acquire their resources in order to better yourself and your gear, so you have to become resourceful yourself, and sometimes even capture these creatures alive to acquire the materials you need from them, which is an amazing idea. It really solidifies the idea that you're growing stronger constantly when you get a whole new armor and weapon set from the latest beast you have bested. The battle tutorial is pretty fun. They throw you right into the thick of things with a large toad creature to destroy. I think my only gripe with the battle system is that it feels a bit hack and slashy, but I would say that was true for any game of this nature. I chose the longsword to start out with, and it was pretty fun most of the time. I was trying to learn how to parry with the sheath ability, but it was a bit hard time to time. I guess I have to get the monster movements down, and I will eventually be able to do it. The main point of the story at the moment seems to be finding the keepers, who are the people of the first boy you saved in the desert, but it seems even the other native people that live in the once thought uninhabited lands have no idea who these keepers are or what it is that they're keeping. The story, I would say, is pretty interesting so far. I still don't understand why the hunters were out this way in the Forbidden Lands in the first place if they're so forbidden, but maybe I missed something in the intro to the game. I got far enough in the game to have been invited to the first village of the people, and see the whole cheese naan thing in person, and honestly, it's everything they say it would be. It looks cheesy and goopy while the bread looks both soft on the inside and creamy on the outside. The food in this game in general just looks amazing based on some of the stuff I've had from the cats. I love that whenever you order anything from a vendor, like the cooks or the smithy, you get an awesome little cutscene of them making the product for you. It just adds the finishing touch of immersion to the game that I really appreciate. There are quite a few weapon types in the game. I believe there are about 14. So there are more than enough to choose from, so you can find the one that suits you perfectly. Like I said previously, I tried to start the game off with a longsword, but it seemed to require a level of patience to do the special parries that I maybe didn't have at the moment. I decided that for my next primary weapon, I would try out the insect dive because all of the jumping around looks like it would be fun and a good way to avoid being attacked occasionally. And so far, it has been working pretty well for me. I took on this crazy poisonous spider queen monster with it, and it seems if I farm that monster, I can even get a special insect guy from it as well. Normal-sized human, there's something about the power fantasy there that absolutely nothing in the games industry could ever top for me. Once again, I am writing the script currently in part to offlet some of my excitement waiting for the game to download, and for once, the good internet gods have blessed me with a rather speedy download on this fateful day. As I type away waiting for the final minutes to pass before I can begin the tutorial, I am in a text conversation with my buddies strategizing and sending sick gameplay videos to each other, wondering which types of weapons we want to use based on the awesome clips we've seen online of the game. I can't help but feel reminiscent of when I was in middle school or high school and a new Call of Duty would come out and we would all rush home and get in a party chat to play and see who could get the highest level, the fastest, and while it was never me to be reaching great heights in a game like that, it was one of the most memorable experiences of my life even now. I have very high hopes for Monster Hunter Wilds at this point. I hope it's both an amazing multiplayer and single player experience, and I'm excited to see what all the hype for Monster Hunter Wilds is really about.
Thank you so much again for your warm hospitality.
It's the very least we can do. We hope you enjoy the meal we prepared.
It looks so tasty. Yes, thank you.
As we gather here together, may we so share in the wind's bounty. Please, help yourselves.
Yes, yes.
You heard him. It's so fragrant. Do you use a special kind of flower?
I don't know about special, but it pairs well with the beans.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Nothing like home cooking.
Monster Hunter Wilds begins with a suspenseful cutscene of some people in a snowy cavern trying to escape the clutches of what I can only assume to be a dangerous beast. A young boy has to leave his life behind in order to carry on the legacy of his tribe as his caretakers seemingly sacrifice themselves for his survival. The boy is then seen unconscious in the middle of the Egyptian-style desert biome, completely different from the previous setting, meaning he must have traveled great lengths to get this far. He is picked up by our heroes on an airship, tended to and questioned. The Monster Hunters Guild was surveying the area for exploration when they just so happened upon what they least expected: more people in an area that was once thought to be completely uninhabited by man. The tutorial for this game is ingrained into this part of the story, teaching you how to ride the chocobo guys while rescuing the young girl that's getting run down by a pack of sandworms chasing her through the desert. You finesse your way through the danger, ending it all with sick anime style slash through the creature, and save the child, who tells you that she has a brother that's in far more danger than she was, and that you have to save him as well. This is a great transition in the game from a quick movement tutorial to a seamless battle tutorial where you get to pick your first badass anime weapon and fell your first beast, saving the young girl's brother and working to reunite them with their family. For my secondary weapon, once I unlocked it, I was a bit stunned into not knowing which weapon I was going to choose, because I wanted something support or possibly defensive. Since the guy looks like an all-out offensive weapon, I ended up going with the trumpet weapon, but I didn't end up ever feeling like I wanted to use it much, and it might be because the online play was being a bit whack, and that's really what I wanted it for. I ended up switching to the gun lance and shield right before I ended this play session, since I seen I had a cool feathered version I could make from the materials of one of the first monsters they have you defeat. Speaking of online play, I wanted to touch on that for a moment. It's a bit frustrating in the beginning if you're planning on playing with someone else. Most story missions will lock you out of all online play until they are complete. Sure, you can do an SOS during a boss fight, but if your buddy is behind in the story at all, they won't be able to assist you, so you're on your own for the most part unless you're okay with calling in randoms, which I did a few times. Me and my buddy ended up taking down one boss together, being one of those feathered T-Rex guys, and it was super fun. He was showing off what he could do with the dual swords, and at this point I was still trying to learn the sheath parry on the long sword, but that's the extent of the questing that we got to do together. We spent a long time trying to get the game in voice chat to work. In the beginning, at first, he could hear me, but for some reason, from the moment I started being able to hear him, when he enabled his voice chat, he could no longer hear me, but I could hear him, so we just ended up on Discord anyway. But I hope that in the future this kind of thing gets fixed, or possibly streamlined.
Looks like he's incapacitated.
Touch that nest, and we'll be next. It's just no time for a nap.
I'll take it from here.
Counting on it.
I am in love with Monster Hunter Wilds. I played a good 6 hours in my first session and had to pry my hands from the controller for the sole purpose of sleep, because it was nearing 3 in the morning before I knew it. I had a blast with it. It's many colorful characters and amazing creatures that inhabit this land. It honestly made me wonder why there has been no popular Pokemon clone using these creatures that garner their own fan base. It seems like a missed opportunity, unless I'm wrong and it does exist, but in that case, the only thing that I might think is, why is nobody talking about it? The game itself is beautiful. When I first went to download the game, I was going to get it on my Steam Deck, but unfortunately it was unplayable on the handheld, and for a good reason. If you look up Reddit or YouTube posts on how that even looks, you can see why. I honestly had a similar issue with Baldur's Gate 3 when I first played it on the Steam Deck, but having the OLED and making some adjustments to the settings, I was finally able to optimize it enough so that it didn't look like a PS2 game. Having to play it on the PlayStation was definitely the better option anyway, because the console can really bring out the beauty in the game. I feel if I played it on the Steam Deck, I would be losing some of the magic that the art brings, especially in the delicious looking food. I'm super excited to get deeper into this game and really see the meat and potatoes of the experience with the gigantic bosses that I know come later in the story. If you enjoyed this video and you have any tips or personal opinions on Monster Hunter Wilds and your experiences with the game, please leave them down in the comment section below and leave some suggestions for the games that you'd like to see me talk about or try in the future on this channel. I'd like to thank you all for watching. All that I ask is that if you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe down below. I will be releasing a new video every Monday.